Administration, Copper Belt. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, committee members, and good morning, everyone. My name is Beatrice Kalonge Muyunda. I'm the Provincial Water Development Officer from Copper Belt Province. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of Parliament. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chisanga Joseph, Human Resource Management Officer.
PS, before you do a submission, let me confer you with a minute. PS, as you appear before this committee, or indeed any other committee of Parliament, to assist in the deliberation before it, you are protected under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, which grants members of Parliament immunity against prosecution for what they say while in the House. This means that the information you give to this committee cannot be used against you outside Parliament or indeed in any court of law for as long as it is factual. However, should you deliberately or willfully mislead or misinform the committee, the same law can be used against you in the courts of law. However, I have no doubt in my mind that this won't be necessary, and as you won't choose to willfully mislead or misinform the committee, you may now proceed to make your submission.
Public Accounts Committee report.
So what you can do, PS, you can just read, for instance, the first one, just read the heading budget and funding, and then you go to your response.
Okay.
And then on page, this is page 1, where there's budget and funding and expenditure, the last amount there is not 81, it's 91. 826,483 been collected. The last sentence as at 31st December. Then there's an amount there.
Which one?
91,826,483. On budget, funding, and expenditure, the last sentence.
91?
91,826,483.
826,483. Budget, funding, and expenditure. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a total provision of 91,858,000.
Just read budget, funding, and expenditure response.
Yes, that's what I told him.
Okay.
So I just wanted him to finish the sentence. That's why
Okay. Budget, funding, and expenditure. Then the cause, the underfunding of 8,432 was due to Ministry of Finance and National Planning not releasing funds according to our submitted profile. In addition, the amount stated as expenditure was understated by 9,936,787 as evidenced from audited financial report for the year ended 1st December 2022. The total actual expenditure was 91,826,483. Refer to attached Appendix A for Statement B and C of 2022. Failure to undertake our outstanding works. The matter remained outstanding in that the only drill rig for the Department of Water Resource Development is still non-functional as it got gutted in September 2021 and delayed repair by the vendor. Works relating to 13 clients out of the 20 were for payments received by the accounts assistant but not deposited into government account. Corrective action. The vendor was assigned to repair the rig, was taken to court, and the matter is still active in the courts. Refer to Appendix B1 on ex parte and order possession and interim attachment, preservation and custody of property. The accounts assistance was dismissed and the funds received but not deposited will be recovered from missed terminal benefits. Refer to Appendix B2, dismissal letter and terminal benefits computations. Works were undertaken for 3 clients. 2 clients were refunded and the remaining 2 paid direct into government account, and have requested that works be done at a later stage. I refer to Appendix B3 for proof of refund, reports for works undertaken, and letter from clients. Failure to repair drilling track. Failure to repair the rig was attributed to the vendor who could not fulfill his obligation. Corrective action. The matter was reported to the Attorney General's Chamber for failure by CLA Commercial Services to repair the vehicle. We wish to report that the matter is before Quito High Court. To this end, the vehicle is still not repaired and has remained as part of the evidence to be used before court of law. Refer to Appendix B1 on ex parte order, possession and interim attachment, prevention and custody of property. Weakness in managing payroll and staff-related matters. The salary scales, grades PSS 09, PSS 11, and PSS 12 relate to the normal salary scales for officers in their previous departments, namely Zambia Police Service and Civil Aviation. As for LO1 position, this lists the Assistant Chief Lands Officer, who is a state advocate. Corrective action. Follow-up letter was written to PSMD to regularize the anomaly. Refer to Appendix C. Misplacement of payroll area. Some positions, payroll sub-area, on the system are domiciled at the provincial administration officer and not in individual districts, hence officers occupying them being deemed misplaced. Some officers were transferred to districts where their services were needed, and formalization of such transfers is not possible due to non-availability of funded positions. Corrective action. Corrective measures would imply redirecting all the officers administratively transferred back to their payroll stations, a measure that would result in denying some districts much desired services to allow continuity of service provision in the various districts before seeking Treasury Authority for creation of new position. The officers have been allowed to remain in the districts. Failure to pay rulership allowance to deserving officers. Management wishes to state that 6 out of the 14 officers are non-civil servants who are inside scale A and B, and thus not entitled to rulership allowance. Refer to Appendix D for circular on entitlement for classified daily employees. The remaining 8 cited officers were misplaced, and the positions where they are sitting are in areas which do not attract rulership, rulership, as the allowances is mapped to a position ID on payroll. Corrective action. Management is compiling a comprehensive list of all those affected for onward submission to PSMD. Accounting irregularities, failure to collect revenue district administration offices. The causes was lack of adherence to tenancy agreements. Corrective action. As at 30 September 2023, 12,420 has since been collected from reported 18,220, that's from Freela, leaving a balance of 5,860 still outstanding. Refer to Appendix E1 and E2. Karushi District, Help and SAG general dealers have cleared their outstanding 2,000 kwacha. Jafama and Mwandama general dealers, as well as the tenant 1 cited, are yet to clear their outstanding balances. Provincial administration has since engaged the Attorney General with a view to collect the remaining outstanding rentals, referred to Appendix E2. Kitwe District, rentals were collected and used at source by the Acting District Works Supervisor for Kitwe District. The disciplinary process has commenced against the hearing officer, referred to Appendix E2 and E3. Unsupported payments. 16 transactions relate to documents such as job cards which were requested by the auditors but would not be availed as these were considered internal documents by the vendor. Corrective action. For the job cards for the vehicles serviced by CFAO Motor, included in this are 15 transactions for provincial administration and 1 for local government. The company confirmed in writing that they do not issue job cards, as the job cards were internal documents. Instead, it guided that the invoices could be relied upon as evidence for the service rendered, referred to F1 and F2. For Kitwe District Administration, a local purchase order number 1830371, which is a binding contract, was raised, and therefore the aspect of oral contract does not arise, referred to Appendix F3. Weakness in management of assets, lack of title deeds for properties. Understaffing of survey departments and limited equipment and transport were the challenges that were faced. Corrective action. 1 vehicle has been bought under the survey department in an effort to address transport challenges. Management wishes also to state that the process of obtaining title deeds is ongoing. In this regard, the Department of Survey was funded 210,000 in June 2023 and the 25,874 on 13 September 2023 for survey of government properties. So far, 10 government properties with site plans were surveyed and 1 title deed for Kwara Provincial Administration was issued, referred to Appendix G. Failure to insure motor vehicles and motorbikes. Cause was limited budget allocation. Corrective action. Management wishes to state that motor vehicles and motorbikes were not insured in 2022 due to limited budget allocation. Going forward, provincial administration will ensure that all vehicles and motorbikes are insured except for non-runners. However, 1 motor vehicle and 3 motorbikes were insured in 2023. Motor vehicle number ABH 986 was the non-runner and has since been marked for disposal, referred to Appendix H for insurance covers. Management stores, unaccounted for stores. Cause lack of trained officers at end user department level for handling stores functions. Corrective action. Despite the above scenario, the unaccounted for stores items in question were duly supported by goods received notes and goods issued vouchers that were assigned by end user departments for their consumption. Further, you may wish to note that provincial administration and district administration officers do not buy stores items for stocking, but stores items are bought based on the needs of the individual department for immediate use, referred to Appendix 1 for disposal details. Therefore, the end user departments collect procured items from provincial administration stores and district administration stores for immediate consumption. Hence, there's need to build capacity at the end user level. Failure to withhold VAT. The cited institutions use the provincial administration TPIN. Apparently, the suppliers were not agreeable to the districts to withhold VAT on their behalf. until after 23rd August 2022, when provincial administration wrote to all districts in the province a letter introducing them as agents. The following three suppliers, namely Delemela Contractors, North Grid Investment Limited, and Capcheck under Kalush District, are not registered for VAT, hence no VAT was to be withheld. Refer to Appendix J on tax registration status and supplier confirmation of remitting VAT withheld to ZRA. Corrective action. Provincial administration wrote to all districts in the province a letter introducing them as agents. Refer to Appendix K for the introduction letter of district administrative officers as agents of VAT. Because of this challenge, Zambia Revenue Authority in this letter referred referred as ZM/CM/ITEL 2023 to provincial administration dated 26 July 2023, has since issued guidance that VAT should not be withheld from listed large and specialized taxpayers who are also VAT agents, as they will be withheld and remitted to ZRA on their own. However, for those not exempted, appointed VAT agents will continue to withhold VAT. Refer to Appendix L. Failure to settle outstanding liabilities. Cause: lack of funding for arrears in the previous years, which led to accumulation of liabilities. Corrective action. Management not start the auditor's observation and wishes to state that provincial administration was funded through Head 21 to liquidate personal emolument amounting to 5,240,407, as well as 963,013.50 funds to clear domestic creditors and accrued expenses for Zamtel bills, Zampost and Zesco. Refer to Appendix M. In addition, all heads of department have been directed to be liquidating their bills as and when they are funded. I am resubmit. Chair.
Thank you, PS. Before we proceed, we have people from the press. Can you introduce yourselves?
My name is Nyanyamofia from News Direct.
My name is Father Mutinta from Zambia Daily Mail.
Okay. Okay. Honorable members, you can ask questions. We start with budget, funding, and expenditure. Can you even connect to Operational Matters, Department of Water Resource Development? Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Controlling Officer, on budget, funding and expenditure, could you tell this committee which activities suffered because of the underfunding that you have indicated in your submission? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
PS, it's not you to direct. I have to tell you who to direct. When you propose, then I'll tell that person to submit, not you. So, PS, can you respond to the question?
Chair, I propose that Director of Finance handles that one.
Okay, Director of Finance, you can handle the question.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Thank you, PS. The question that has been raised is that the programs as budgeted, there is no specific program that suffered as a result of the underfunding. This is because all the budget lines were funded. It's only minor lines which were slightly underfunded. As a result of that, we undertook and adjusted our programs according to the available funds. I submit. Thank you.
Any follow-up question, Honorable Daka? It's clear?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Does it mean that your budgeting was unrealistic or what? Because you cannot inform the committee that no matter how small the underfunding could be, you cannot submit to a committee that we adjusted our programs and all the activities were fully funded. The committee would want to know exactly what sort of setback you experienced due to this underfunding. That was the question. And what remedial actions have you put in place to avoid the recurrence of the same? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Director of Finance through the PS can respond to the question.
Thank you, Honorable, and thank you, Chairperson. Quite all right, the budget wasn't funded 100%, but the fact that all the lines were funded and the budget itself, the way it was done, it was realistic. When the programs are being undertaken, we consider the funds that are available, and we execute our programs based on the available resources. The aspect of the implication or the impact of the underfunding, I will still repeat to say the programs were undertaken and the budgeting process itself was realistic. And having done that, we still undertook the programs. The underfunding didn't have so much impact despite being funded less by the amount which is stated here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, can go to operational matters, honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm on B.
Yes.
And B1 and B2 are one and the same, Chair. So if you just allow us to combine them, because it's one and the same. Chair, the provincial administration did get some money from people. I think about 13 grants that had paid for them to drill bores, for the provincial to drill bores for them. And the money was deposited into somebody's account and not necessarily a government account. The PSC has stated that the matter is in court, so we may not dwell too much on that. But I want to know, on two, you paid money to someone before they could even touch a vehicle, before they could even repair this rig. Why that? I was saying it should be the other way, where you first see that service being provided and then you pay. Now in this case you are depaid and someone also failed to repair. What was the payment? What informed you to pay? Why was this person paid? Chair, I submit.
Any other question? Honorable Doug.
Madam Chairperson, on the same, failure to undertake outstanding works, just like Honorable Mukumba has already alluded to, where they received money from clients that ended up into private people's pockets. Controlling officer, with the changes, with the coming up of technology, a lot of changes with regards to where people do business, are you submitting to this committee that you are still dealing with the transaction which borders on cash? Why don't you engage cashless transactions? Like when clients want to pay for a service, they deposit direct into the government account rather than put a middleman who is receiving money on behalf of government. I mean, to us it's purely negligence. So tell us, why should you still engage in transactions which involve cash when you can deal with the clients who can directly deposit monies into a government account? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
PS, you can respond to the two questions.
Let me respond, Chair. The reason why the person was paid money before the works be done. This was an insurance claim. The insurance company paid part of the claim, should be 100 and something thousand kwacha. They discharged the claim, they paid what you call cash in lieu of repairs, because the money that we had was not sufficient, coming from the claim, was not sufficient to meet the cost of the claim. So they paid cash in lieu of repairs through provincial administration, and then we had to add up for the full repair cost as quoted by the repairer. That was an insurance claim. And then as for the person collecting cash, I think this transaction took place in 2021, and I'm sure corrective measures have been done. I think through with the permission, Chair, I can request the provincial principal internal auditor to shed more light on that one.
Maybe before the provincial officer, is it the same question which came last year?
Yes, the same question. Well, this officer has since been dismissed, and we are in the process of recovering monies from his terminal benefits. Yes.
Okay, you can respond. Honorable Mkombe.
Yeah, before he responds, concluding officer, we are aware that this was the insurance claim. But what were you paying for? Because you can only pay once you get a service. But in this case, you paid in advance without even that person touching without even using any tools, you know? And that vehicle hasn't been repaired to date. So what were you paying? What were you paying for? Just for you to take the vehicle to him, or we don't understand. Maybe clarify on that one.
PS can respond to a follow-up question.
Thank you, Chair. The vehicle, you know, the process when you are undertaking an insurance claim, you start by getting quotations. And once the quotations are done, the insurance company agree on repairs. So in this case, the insurance company had agreed repairs with they had agreed repairs with that garage. Now, when they agreed repairs, the amount that the insurance company was supposed to pay was not equivalent to the cost of the claim. So what they did instead, authorization had not been done. So instead of paying the insurance company, the garage, they decided to pay as cash instead of repairs. The vehicle was already with the repairer. So it was just a matter of making a payment based on the invoice that the insurance company had agreed. Of course, less adding what the shortfall that was a shortfall. So the vehicle, Chair, was already in the garage.
Follow-up question on the same. Honorable Dak.
Madam Chairperson, as a committee we are at pain because what were you paying for? Because I want to enforce what my colleague has already alluded to. Because our understanding is that the vehicle was already in the garage and the provider of a service or the garage itself was supposed first of all to repair the vehicle. Then you, based on the invoice from the garage, you honor the payment. I mean, that's a normal procedure. How would we pay in full before the service is rendered? That's basically the kind of a question we're posing before you. I mean, what motivated you to honor 100% prior to the provision of a service in full? Because you see now, you paid in full. What has come out of it? There's no service that has been provided. So we as a committee, we are asking you that what motivated you to pay 100% when in fact there was no service up to now? There's no service that has been rendered. Madam Chairperson, I submit.
Maybe the internal auditor can respond on behalf of the PS.
Chair, I think I wanted to.
Is it Director of Finance?
I wanted to respond.
You are Director
on the
of Finance?
No, I'm not.
Internal audit.
Yes. My response was on the question from Honorable Daka as to whether people are still receiving cash from clients.
Before we go to that one, let's finish with the question they asked you on the issue of insurance.
That one maybe the Director of Finance. It was directed to Director of Finance.
Director of Finance, you can respond to that question.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, the payment was made. It was a payment which was received by the provincial administration to pay for the repairs because the vehicle which was involved in the IFENO was actually insured comprehensively. So the amount which was paid to provincial administration came from insurance company. We only had to top up with 10% of the claim. Yes, 10% of the amount which was claimed, or which we should have paid to the vendor. So coming to Honorable Daka's emphasis why we paid, and the Honorable here, why we paid the vendor before the service was rendered. Chairperson, I do acknowledge that we are supposed to pay after the service is rendered, but in this case, yes, the payment was made. I think it was, I should admit, it could have been at that time an oversight on our part, because we should have waited for the other payment. But going by my PS's submission, it's also valid in the sense that the amount was not 100% borne by the provincial administration, because part of it came from insurance company, and the emphasis was the speed at which this service were needed, or the repair works were supposed to be done.
Honorable Mukumbi. Switch off your mic, Director Finance.
Chair, we don't want to be misled here. You started very well. You should have simply said we made a mistake, just like you started. They are now adding more and more. Now you are confusing us. When you pay for insurance, you have paid. Government paid. So even that refund which that the insurance company was paying, it is a result of government paying that person for a service.
Honorable Daka, order. Allow Honorable Mukumbi to submit.
So you can't say, no, this money didn't come from government, this money came from the insurance. No, government at one point paid the insurance company. They had insured that particular truck. So the insurance was just honoring what they're supposed to do. So it's still government resource. The question we're asking is, why pay before a truck is even repaired? Or maybe a truck is repaired, it's now moving. Tell us. Chair, submit.
That's Honorable Likando had something.
Yes, the whole transaction, Chair, I think is not clear in the sense that the province decided to take the liability to themselves. Why did you not allow the insurance, who asked you to pick from the companies that they deal with, to get quotations? Upon getting quotations, the insurance would have paid the same client or the service provider the amount that was due to be paid by him, so that you don't have the risk which you are now having, or the liability that you have now of dealing with direct with that service provider. In this case, you are just paying 20% of that's excess. 20% you are paying direct to the same service provider, and if the service provider failed to provide the service as it is now, it was going to be the responsibility of the insurance to carry the liability. But now you got the liability away from the insurance. Insurance paid you, and after they paid you, then they left it with you. And now that's where you find yourselves now with this situation. Why did you have to get the money instead of allowing the insurance to find the service provider and pay that amount to the service provider? Then you pay the 20%. The failure by the service provider would have now been borne by the insurance.
Through the PS, there was a hand from head procurement.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, what I wanted to explain was what the Honorable just explained, that insurance should have actually paid directly to the company and not to provincial administration, so that provincial administration only had paid the 10% excess. But in this case, I don't know what the insurance company was thinking by paying.
So, Honorable head procurement, you are not supposed to give us the line of thought of the previous speaker, the MP. You tell us what happened at the provincial administration. Why did you do such a transaction? Not explaining what was supposed to happen, but tell us what happened. Why did you do such an activity? That's what we want to hear from you.
Thank you, Chair. I think that was an oversight which shouldn't have been made, paying the whole amount to the the service provider. They should have waited for the service to be done and then paid them. But it must have been a mistake that was made at that time. Thank you.
So, PS?
I think I need to put it here very clear that, you know, when there's a claim, when there's an insurance claim, you obtain quotations. And when you obtain quotations, if the agreed repair costs do not match the amount that the insurance company is supposed to pay, there's what we call cash in lieu of repairs, which means they'll give you cash instead of undertaking the repairs. In this case, the amount of the claim was not, the amount that the insurance company was paying was not enough to pay for the repairs. So in that case, they would pay cash instead of repairs. And that's how this cash was paid to provincial administration to now pay the insurance company. So they paid us because the amount of claim, that's the correct position, sir.
Yeah.
You are not paying, the insurance was paid. You are supposed now to pay to the?
To the garages.
Yes.
So when they pay us cash, they paid us cash instead of repairs. The insurance company paid the claim, but if they had to pay the insurance, that person, the amount was not equivalent. So to liquidate the claim, the insurance company paid us, and we pay. So that's why now we are trying to say there was enough hours that on our part to effect that payment, to which we sincerely apologize.
Okay. Honorable,
actually, the answer makes it worse. The answer from the controlling officer makes it worse, in the sense that they are now telling us that the vehicle was undervalued. They are paying less insurance. You have just indicated the committee that the vehicle was comprehensively insured. If it was comprehensively insured, the value of the vehicle less 20%. If it's a write-off, the insurance was going to pay for the whole vehicle, less 20%. And if just repairs, there's no way an insurance company will pay less than 80% of the value or the works that are supposed to be done. So at which point are you telling this committee as the province that you were paid less or you could not meet when the vehicle was comprehensively insured? They should be able to meet the requirement, unless it's a write-off, and if it's a write-off, it was supposed to be 80% of the value, which was declared. So what is the value of this? For them to fail, for insurance to refuse or to fail to pay 80% of the works that were supposed to be done on the vehicle, it means unless the value of the vehicle or the value of the equipment was undervalued.
Honorable Lungu, you had your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's just similar with what Honorable Mpalali was just alluded to. I wanted to know, for the insurance to pay 180,000 kwacha, what was the value of the vehicle? And then I wanted to ask the controlling officer, any government monies before being spent supposed to be secured. Did you thought of securing the government monies in case of the person you are dealing with, maybe if he's not honest? How are you going to recover government monies? Did you thought in those lines? I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Yes.
Firstly, I want to state that, Chair, that that is a specialized vehicle. And the only garage that was able to undertake that repairs that vehicle, that's the same garage where this vehicle was taken. So when you obtain quotations, they were speaking to the total repair cost of that property, of that vehicle. But now, what happened with passage of time, when the claim was adjusted, the amount that was being paid was less than the actual repair cost. So that's how there's a component of the 10% excess, which we have to pay as insured, and then the deficit that was there.
Progress. Then there was a question which the internal auditor was supposed to respond. Through the PS, we can respond to that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. The question was about whether to date departments still receive cash from clients. The position of government, Chair, through various circulars, is that clients are supposed to deposit directly into the designated bank accounts and then simply present evidence of deposit, and then a receipt is issued. However, Chair, in every system of internal control, there are what we call inherent limitations. And what we saw happening in this case at Water Affairs was a typical example of that inherent limitation. As a result, you know, where people want to override the controls. And it is for that reason that when we carried out this audit, then as internal audit, we brought it to the attention of management, and corrective action was taken. And as we speak, this particular officer has since been dismissed. The current position, Chair, is that departments are supposed to deposit directly into the bank. But you find 2, 3 people who still want to resist the controls that are in place. I submit.
Honorable Daka.
Chair.
Honorable Kando.
I think the questions have not been answered, and that's the reason I think we have difficulties to move. The issue which was raised by Honorable Lungu is what was the value of this specialized equipment? At what value was it insured? I think those are pertinent questions that need answers, and it's difficult to move when pertinent questions are not being answered.
Director of Finance, through the PS, you can respond to the question of the value of the property.
Thank you, Chairperson. I may not be able to give the exact value of this rig, but the amount which was insured, going by the insurance company's claim of 180,000, this is the amount which was paid to provincial administration, and then we had to top up. I don't have the exact amount of the value of the vehicle which was insured.
Okay. Director Procurement, through the PS.
Thank you, Chair. I think the value that was being paid was the assessed value of the damage, not the entire truck, the entire property. The damage was assessed, and that's the value that was being paid for. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. I'm confused with your response over what's the way forward over the ailing officer who were extorting monies without permission. You are saying from now onwards they'll be depositing the monies, and you are telling the committee that still there is a bit of resistance. You are not answering, you are not telling the truth, you are not giving yourself, or you are not giving the position to this committee. What are you trying to say? What are you telling this committee? I submit here.
Chair, what I'm telling the committee is that government has a position with regard to how cash should be handled. Any client who deals with government should deposit cash into a designated bank account, present evidence of deposit slip, and then you are given a receipt. That is the position. But it is also true that in any system of controls, there are inherent limitations. People can collude. There will be one person who still wants to go against the controls that are in place. And that's what we saw in the case of that officer who was dismissed. That is not to say, Chair, that is what is happening now. No. We will go by the government position, which is you deposit first, you don't give cash to any government official, then you are given a receipt. So that is the position. And that's what we expect to see. Thank you.
Proceed, honorable members, weaknesses in managing payroll and staff-related matters. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Controlling officer, I would like to take you to where an amount totaling 181,505 was paid to 4 officers at the provincial administration who are not provided for under the establishment register. Controlling officer, why does the provincial administration have positions on the payroll that are not prescribed on the establishment register? Just elaborate. This committee would want to be put to speed with regard to this matter. So maybe, not maybe, but this committee is very much interested to get to know why you have such type of a scenario at the provincial administration. The second question is, why have the positions not been regularized, and when will this be addressed? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Honorable Mukombe. Honorable Daka, switch off your mic.
Thank you, Chair. And in your corrective action, you are saying a follow-up letter was written to PSMD to regularize the anomaly. Where are we? What is the response from PSMD? Has it been positive or negative? Thank you.
PS, we have 3 questions from the honorable members.
I'll start with the last one. We haven't had any response yet from PSMD. But I think we did a letter to remind them again, and we shall still make follow-ups.
Where is the letter? Is it part of the appendices?
We didn't attach it on there, but I think we've got a copy which you can circulate with the permission.
Why didn't you give it to the auditors when they came on the ground? Because it was not going to be an audit credit if you had submitted those documents to them.
An oversight.
PS, as we are not auditors, for us to start checking on those documents.
But there's a letter
Is
that
there?
we did. So this was just a follow-up, Chair.
Okay.
There's a letter that we did. I think it's among the documents that we have
appendices,
attached.
okay.
Yes. So this was just a follow-up letter, following up on the earlier letter that we got.
Okay. So can you respond to the other 2 questions?
Then the other 2 questions, I think, with your permission, I'll ask the Director of Finance to come in. Oh no, I'll engage. I'll ask
Human resource?
The human resource, yes.
Director Human Resource, you can respond to the 2 questions?
Sorry,
You
Chair.
followed the questions?
Maybe the first question was, sorry, Chair.
You didn't get the first question?
Why do we have this position? Is that the first question?
Yes.
We have this position, Chair. The province has got had a department, civil aviation. Under civil aviation, which was a department under provincial administration, we had those officers mentioned there. And also, under lands and deeds, it was introduced before there was no lands and deeds, but the regional office was opened, and they will have the position of assistant chief registrar. So those positions on the payroll are there, except on the staff establishment they were missing because maybe they were not updated. But the officers are on the ground. They are not fake officers. These are real officers working and serving government.
But if they are there on the ground, why didn't you give the information to the auditors when they came on the ground? Because, it was, like I said earlier, it was not going to be an audit query. Why didn't you give that information to the auditors? PS?
I think, Chair, this issue is not coming up for the first time. I think this information must have been given because there was that letter that was written to PSMD. For us to have written to PSMD, it means this issue existed. So that's why I wanted it to be normalized by PSMD.
PS, I've said, you are saying that these positions, despite coming out as a question that they are on the payroll, but they are not in the establishment register. But your officer said they are there on the ground. So I'm saying, if they are there on the ground, why didn't you give the auditors, when they came on the ground, the information? It was not going to be part of this report. That's the question. PS. Director, that's an HR question. Or maybe internal auditor can help.
Chair, my reading of the query here is about these officers who are not on the establishment register for provincial administration. And rightly so, these were not on that register because, like the HR did present, these belonged, the last two, sub-fire officer, firearm, these belonged to the defunct civil aviation department. Maybe the only thing that provincial administration did was to write to PSMD because changes on the establishment register are done by cabinet office, by a given department. So a letter was written to have these put on the establishment register for provincial administration, which matter has not yet happened. That's why we have this query. And so that's why you are seeing the auditors made reference to the salary scales, because these salary scales here appear strange. Not that they are strange, they are real salary scales, but for officers under civil aviation. There's one officer, for instance, PSS 09. That particular officer was from Zambia Police, and that is the salary scale under the Zambia Police. So when he joined provincial administration, that salary scale, he came with that salary scale until such a time when this will be normalized. So the officers are there, and these salary scales did not present any overpayment to government. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Controlling officer, things have to be done properly. First things first. The committee would want to know, was it in order for you to include these people on your payroll when in fact they are not on your establishment a register? Because some of the systems that, most of the systems that have been put in place in government are meant to seal financial flaws or financial leakages. That's the whole purpose. Now, four officers who are not provided for in your establishment register are drawing salaries from your payroll. That's why an anomaly is. First things first, tell us, can you inform, or can you put us to speed as a committee? What is the normal procedure with regards to such type of a scenario? Is it to rush into putting them on your payroll when they are not part of your establishment register, or first of all you have to provide them on your establishment register prior to you including them on your payroll? Can you put us to speed? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
PS.
I think, Chair, it's not provincial administration that puts these people on the payroll, it's cabinet. That's why we had to write to PSMD, so that this thing can be normalized by cabinet. So we're waiting for them to respond and normalize this issue.
Okay, PS. Accountant General.
Thank you, Chair. I think, Chair, here we are dealing with the legacy issues. Previously, when Copper Belt province appeared, they had the rural development, there was a department, rural roads unity. And I think those people were put on the payroll through cabinet office when the payroll was centrally managed. Those ones have since been hived off. They've gone to Zambia National Service. Similarly, when these people were introduced on the payroll was still centrally managed.
So I think the PS is finding himself in a difficult position because he can't explain things which are legacy on this payroll. I submit, Chair.
AG.
I would want to say that maybe if the controlling officer can make a follow-up on regularizing this issue, because it has been there for quite some time. If they pursue cabinet to make to regularize this problem can be resolved.
Okay, so PS you've heard, you need to regularize it. Honorable Kando.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been told, we have been told there is a PSMD letter here. Where is it? There's no PSMD letter here. Their letter to PSMD? Yes, it's not there.
Appendix C.
C?
Appendix C, where? The Accountant General is not PSMD.
You wrote to Accountant General. Is it the 8th June 2022?
Yes, Chair.
So Accountant General, is it the normal process that they have to write to your office, not to PSMD? Because this one they wrote to your office. Can guide us?
Chair, sometimes there's a bit of confusion because payroll is run from PSMD and the Accountant General. So sometimes people get confused. Instead of writing for staffing through PSMD, they sometimes misdirect their letters to the Accountant General. But what we do is when we receive them at Accountant General, we redirect them to PSMD because they are position issues. I submit, Chair.
Progress.
No,
So
Chair, let's advise accordingly. There is establishment is not handled neither by Accountant General or PSMD. It's handled by MDD. That's Management Development Division. That's the ones who are establishing. Those are the ones who establish positions. So I think it's important to know where they have to write to. If you write to Accountant General to establish a position, he won't do it.
So PS, you have to write to the right office for you to regularize this issue. Otherwise, it will be pending even next year. Yeah. But you are a government official, you know. As we've just given you an idea. Let's progress.
Chair, we have officers that can guide them here. Auditor General's office is there, office of the...
Okay, Honorable Mukunda, I think the PS have heard.
There was actually a right to address to the follow-up to address to PSMD. We did on 10 November as a follow-up on the same issue.
Okay, for progress, PS, you know, you are a government official. You go to your offices, they will guide you and do the right thing for this issue to be regularized. So progress. Misplacement of payroll area. Honorable Mukumbi. Honorable Daka.
Chair, I'm still perusing.
PS, in your submission, you have submitted that the salary grades for PSS 09, PSS 11, and PSS 12 relate to the normal salary scales for officers in their previous department, namely Zambia Police Service and, oh sorry, I've gone to the long term. You have submitted that some officers were transferred to districts where their services were needed, and formalization of such transfers is not possible due to non-availability of funded positions. My question is, are you telling this committee that their services, the services of these officers who were transferred to the districts are not needed at the provincial administration office? Honorable Mukombe.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, it was noted that 83 officers were drawing salaries in the amounts of 6.6 million kwacha from pay points where they are not working from. So you have 83 officers drawing salaries, but they are not in those particular stations. So what have you done about this situation? And you are saying 54 who were transferred to Copperbelt Provincial Administration were drawing salaries from other provinces. So we have also others that are in your province, but drawing salaries from other provinces. How are you managing the two? Chair, submit.
Please, you can respond to the 3 questions.
We have given our answer as to why some officers have their payroll at provincial administration but operating from some other areas. Most that we can look at building department. Most of the officers that are in the district, their services are not required at provincial administration. They are only required in the areas where they are serving. That's why in our corrective action, we are trying to, we are saying, we wait until Treasury Authority is created, not until Treasury Authority is created for these officers. They will have to continue serving there because moving them from there means some government departments are suffering from the services that is provided there.
Honorable Dak.
Madam Chairperson, I thank you. Controlling officer, just from your response, the committee is able to pick something which is quite very important. You are saying you are waiting for Treasury Authority so that those positions are created from the needy areas. As a provincial administration, have you engaged the Secretary to the Treasury to that effect? And if you have, do you have evidence that you can lay on the table to justify or to prove that indeed you conducted such type of an action? Madam Chairperson, I thank you.
Honorable Mwira.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me introduce myself. I'm Gordon Mwira, Member of Parliament from Mufulira Central constituency. Controlling officer, from your response that the officers were moved from the provincial administration to the districts, I want to believe that these officers, their original appointment should be at the province. Now, when you move them to the districts, first of all, there's no establishment. That's why you are waiting for Treasury Authority. And what then is the impact at the province? Because they are there, they had their assignments and positions, and then you move them. Isn't that leaving a vacancy then at the province for the works that they would be doing when based at the province? Thank you, Chair.
PS, you can respond to the questions.
Through your chair, let me allow...
Your mic.
Through the chair, let me request the Principal Internal Auditor to respond to that one.
Internal Auditor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me address part of this query called misplacement on payroll area. If you go to the payroll, when you log in, you go on the payroll for provincial administration. You find all those people in your various districts, the people you call, for instance, district work supervisors, who are in those various districts. For provincial administration, all those people from the word go were placed on provincial administration payroll. And even from an audit perspective, I do not think that you would want to have all the district work supervisors being in your provincial seat, based in Ndola, all of them. That's why, despite their payroll area, all of them, if you log in, being at provincial administration in Ndola, management felt it prudent to distribute those to the various districts where their services are needed. I can just imagine having all of them, the 10 for Copper Belt in Ndola, and whenever you need the works of a work supervisor, one has to move from Ndola to go to Rufwanyama to Kitwe. So that's the position. So when management talks about treasury authority, they're talking about creating now those specific positions in the district so that the officers who are already there can simply be placed there. So it's an issue of normalization, just to place them so that rather than these positions being where they are for all the 10 in Ndola, why can't we create so that they are in the district? So as a result, when we are auditing, we'll take it that these are misplaced. But the reality is that you would not desire them to be in Ndola, all of them. That's the reality, Chair.
Honorable Kando.
Point of order. Chair, this is a human resource issue. It's not even an audit, internal audit. It's a human resource issue in the sense that you are talking of positions. And I think the person who was better placed to tell us what he is thinking is the person who is in charge of human resource, who is in charge of placements. Further, Chair, I don't know what the province is telling us here. You as the province, you have identified a situation in your province. And you are saying you don't need these people who are supposed to sit right under your control at the province. You want them in the districts. The authority to pay these 10 is already existing. But you don't have the authority to put them in the districts. That authority you don't have. And that authority to start establishing positions is not found at the secretariat or whatever. It's found at the Management Development Division. That's why you are supposed to apply and look for positions to create, and you base your suggestion on the fact that you as a province, you don't need these people here. Their salaries should not sit here. Their salaries should sit in the districts. And then that will be made, that change will be made. What will happen is Management Development Division will write to the Secretary to Treasury to start making adjustments.
Director Human Resource through the PS. Why having people on the payroll at provincial level, meanwhile they're at the district? Okay, Honorable Daka.
Chair, it's quite disappointing to hear, is it the Chief Accountant or Internal Auditor trying to justify things which are against well-established systems in government. Because these systems are not there just for the sake of being there. No, they are meant at controlling something. The provincial administration is free. They think they are free or that liberty to start maneuvering things that are not where they have no authority to do that. Because it's very simple. If you move people from their original pay point to elsewhere, that's a recipe for creating ghost workers. Because when the time for head count comes, you find that those people won't be found in their respective stations. And the auditors will pick that these people, and they'll be considered immediately that they are ghost workers. So let's learn to do things in the right way. And these systems are not there for just for the sake of being there. What we would want to emphasize. Madam Chairperson, I think it was just a comment I submit.
Before the Human Resource Director comes in, I would like to tell the internal auditor that when you are doing your submission, you are not just submitting to this committee, you are submitting to the whole nation. Hence, the last part of your submission was misleading. So can you withdraw?
I withdraw it forthwith, Chair. Thank you.
Director Human Resource.
Chair, like already alluded to, the officers, for example, like all the plumbers, 10 plumbers, the bricklayers, they are all sitting on door-up positions instead of sitting in districts. That as a result, they were picked. But Chair, I would submit that corrective measure, as already highlighted in our submission through the PS. That's what we're working on.
Okay. Accountant General. Switch off your mic.
Thank you, Chair. I think what Honorable Mfaradi has said is a correct position. I think this issue can only be resolved through MDD. What PS is supposed to do is to apply for realignment of the structure so that those positions seated at the provincial headquarters is realigned to the districts. And then they apply for what is called non-cash treasury authority, so that those positions move to the districts where those people are required. It's one of the simplest issues because there is no cost attached to that movement. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. We proceed. Failure to pay rural hardship allowances to deserving officers. Honorable Mwira.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm failing to reconcile the response from the controlling officer to the audit finding, because the audit finding tells us that 14 officers who were working at stations designated for payment of such allowances were not paid the allowances during the period under review. So the auditors found that they were stationed in those places which deserved to be paid rural hardship allowance. Now, the response which I need the controlling officer to clarify is when they say especially relating to the 8, because the other ones are saying they are CDEs, classified dead employees. The remaining 8 cited officers were misplaced, and the positions they are sitting are in areas which do not attract rural hardship allowance. But the audit finding is saying they are in positions where they should be paid rural hardship allowance. So I'm failing to reconcile the response to the audit finding. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Or maybe the Director of Finance?
Director of Finance will respond.
Okay, can respond through the PS.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS. The 8 officers were misplaced in that where they are working from. They may be working from Mpongwe, Sam, Masaiti, Lufwanyama. Physically, the officers are working in those stations, but in terms of payroll, their payroll is in areas where the payment of rural hardship cannot be paid. This is why we are admitting to say these are misplaced, and therefore it becomes difficult to effect the payment of rural hardship, since their payroll station could be in Ndola, but physically the officer is working in maybe Masaiti or Lufwanyama. So I think as a way forward, we are trying to identify the aspect of normalization, which we are going to effect through the relevant offices. But these are officers working in areas where they are supposed to be paid rural hardship allowance. We admit to say, yes, they may not be receiving, but it's an area that we are going to look into. I submit. Thank you.
Bodaka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. PS, you are being reactive because you are aware about this situation, but you decided to take a laissez-faire kind of an attitude until the auditors came to pick it. Why is it that you have to wait for an audit for you to react to this? Why didn't you work within your, normal time frame? So that the deserving officers who are providing a service to the people who are the less privileged, the disadvantaged, the people in the rural areas, the ones we represent. We understand and we sympathize with our officers. They are subjected to a lot of hardships, and I sympathize truly with them. Why did you allow a situation where we had to wait for an audit to come up with, to pick these things? That's when now you are reacting, and now you are promising this committee to say now we have to take a corrective measure since these things are there, and we agree that they are not being paid because they are misplaced. I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Honorable Rikando.
Thank you, Chair. PS, could you just indicate to the committee, your human resource is sitting at what position as a province?
Yeah, in fact, mine is allied on Honorable Mukfalali, because PS, if you've checked, this question is the same as the previous question, where your officers are not doing the right things. Do you have the competence, human resource in your province to work for government? Because this question is the same as the one we are discussing. It's the same thing. PS, you can respond to the questions.
Thank you, Chair. I think in terms of corrective measures being done, we have done not just to present it, just unfortunate that we are not attached to the bundles.
Honorable Rikando.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I still have a question before he could answer. I just want to know at what position is the human resource sitting? Is he a chief human resource? Is he a deputy director or what?
Okay, you can respond to that question, PS.
The chief human resource officer is not in our company. It's been represented by, what's his position again? Senior human resource, chief human resource.
Okay, maybe the senior most human resource officer in the department, what position at your province? What position?
The chief human resource
Chief
officer.
human resource,
Yes,
that's the question.
He's not in our company today.
Yeah, he's not, yeah, even if he's not in your company, I was saying the person who's there. You are saying it's chief human resource.
Yes.
So Honorable Rikando, they are saying it's chief human resource.
Chair.
Very senior position.
An observation, yeah, it's a senior position. But we are decentralizing as a country, I think we are. Chief human resource, and then we have director. The challenge which I have, Chair, is very simple. I'm seeing the director of finance answering human resource issues. And I think the senior human resource, you are the right person who is supposed to tell us about these misplacements. Why they, before the director of finance makes any payments, the human resource director or the chief should be able to know why these people are sitting and what he has done. Because you cannot tell us that these people, you are even admitting that yes, you are paying someone who is supposed to sit in Ndola but is working in Masaiti and depriving him of hardship allowance. What is the human resource doing? If a person why are you keeping the payroll of that person, or why are you paying him in Ndola when you know so very well that there is need for him to be in Masaiti? If there is no position in Masaiti, why have you moved him to Masaiti?
Human resource through the PS.
Sure, Chair. The officers who are sitting in rural districts, they're supposed to be paid rural hardship. But in this case, like the auditors observed, there are other officers who are not sitting in rural districts, but the payroll, the rural hardship was blocked from them so that they should not benefit. And the letters were written to regularize, to normalize their position so that they can be in districts where they are getting rural hardship. And those officers who are not in a district where they are not supposed to get, they should not get. And officers who are right free and eligible should get.
Honorable Kando.
I don't know whether the one who is the human resource chief. I don't know whether he is understanding. I think if you followed the Director of Finance, he has indicated clearly why those officers cannot get hardship allowance. The system won't just allow you. If someone is sitting in dollar, you want to put hardship allowance on a person who is sitting in dollar. The system will reject. That's what she told us. We are asking you, why are you allowing a situation through PS? Why is it that your human resources is allowing a situation where someone is sitting in Masaiti and he is on payroll in dollar? Why are you allowing that situation as human resource who are supposed to help the controlling officer to ensure that the right thing is done? Because what you are answering, Chair, what he is answering is actually out of, it's something else. The finance director has indicated these cannot get their hardship allowance because they are sitting in dollar. And even when you key in hardship allowance, the system should be able to reject. Because they already, that city or the town which is already inputted there, we will say in dollar, which is an urban area. Then you want to put hardship, it will reject.
Director, Human Resource.
Through Chair. Where we are coming from, Chair, we had more officers. It's not allowing deliberately. We have more officers than the number that we have now. We have been working on this number and it has reduced, but we still have officers to work on. I submit.
So now, Human Resource, the challenge which is here is that the responses you are giving, they are contradicting from what the Director of Finance submitted. Because you as Human Resource, you are the one who is supposed to feed the Office of the Finance for them to change the pay laws. But if you are not helping this office, then government will suffer. But the Director of Finance gave the correct position. You are contradicting yourself. So PS, you can conclude as a controlling officer for the province.
Thank you for the observation, Chair, that I've made. But I want to state that we've got a competent human resource, chief human resource officer who is manning that office. And I think, like he has right to put it. We are coming from a situation where we had a lot of labor-related matters, which as provincial administration, we have made serious strides into resolving some of them. And we are very sure that we won't appear before PAC again next year over this issue that are labor-related, because we have done everything both that we can do within our means. There are letters that we have written to PMIC and PSMD so that some of these issues can be resolved.
Okay, order. As time is, we break for tea break, 11:30. 11:37. We'll come back after 10 minutes. I lift your minute, PS.
My name is Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for the good people of Kamfinsa constituency. I was born in Kitwe. I basically did all my education in Kitwe. Started my primary school in where I am today at Justin Kawe Basic School in Indeke. Went to Kitwe Boys Secondary School in Kitwe, and later on I pursued a degree in electrical mechanical engineering, where I graduated at CBU. I think should have been 2009 thereabout. At that time I was already doing civic work. I was already an elected councillor in an area called Riverside in Kitwe, and of course later on I was privileged to have been given an opportunity by the people of Kitwe to work as mayor of the city in between 2016 and 2021. Then of course last year I got an opportunity to represent the community where I was raised, where I grew up, which is Kamfinsa constituency. I am married. I'm a father of 3 children. I think the eldest must be 10. Yes, 10. The second born is 8 and the last one is 5. Yeah, professionally I've worked for Mopani Copper Mines. I used to work as an assistant engineer there. I worked for Luansha Copper Mines, and before going full-time into civic work and political work, I worked for a company called Atlas Copco, where I was selling mining equipment. So I happen to have an understanding of what happens in the private sector. I also have an understanding of what happens in governance. So it's been a great honor reaching this stage where now I can come to Parliament and come and not only represent the people of Kamfinsa, but also try and urge government. You know, our role as parliamentarians is to provide oversight. I love watching football. If I was not an engineer, I think I would have been a very good football player. I read a lot. It's good to read. As a leader, you have to read, because when you are reading, you tend to understand what is happening globally, you tend to understand history, and you tend to understand so many different aspects. Kamfinsa constituency is the first constituency as you enter Kitwe. So on your right, where the boundary with Ndola ends, Kamfinsa starts. So the entire farm block, where the prison is, you go further with the boundary with, is it Mofulira, Ndola Road, that boundary, that is the outer boundary. You come to Ndeke, Kitwe, Mlenga compound, Mkuba na Twange, that is the geographical description of Kamfinsa. Of course, we have challenges in the constituency. We have challenges of water. I was raising an issue earlier with our Honour the Vice President, asking government to work on the water supply network in the constituency. We did start a project, I think in 2019, under Nkana Water and Sewerage, but the project could not proceed because a few things had to be changed. So we have challenges of water. We of course have challenges of unemployment, just like any other constituency. And with more young people finishing school, I think it will continue to pose as a challenge. And I'm hoping that we could find solutions here and also in the constituency, and of course other stakeholders. We are predominantly an agriculture economy. Most people do agriculture, but majority of them on the urban side of the constituency do trading. Some of them work in the mines. So what is happening on the copper belt, Mopani operations, KCM operations do affect directly our people in the constituency. And of course we have a lot of people in the informal sector, those that go into Sokone market to sell their commodities. So those are some of the key players in the constituency. And of course I want to thank the clergy in the constituency, because they've helped us whenever we want to sensitize the public about things like constituency development fund. We go through churches, we inform the churches, we ask them, can we do an announcement? And once we do that, the information goes out there, which is very useful. And I think that we have local strategies on how we are coping with some of these challenges, but obviously ultimately we need central government support. We've started with basic infrastructure. We need to educate as many people in the constituency. I would want the constituency to produce more engineers. I want the constituents to produce more doctors, more teachers, more journalists, people that can come and contribute to the economy of our country. So of course our primary objective is to provide health infrastructure and also provide educational infrastructure. We have a hospital, what used to be a clinic, Ndeke Village Clinic in Ndeke Village, that we are now upgrading. The previous government did commence the upgrading works. We have a maternity wing now, and now we want to add a mortuary, a theatre and other things, so that that health facility in Ndeke Village could cater for that catchment area. We also want to upgrade Zamtan Clinic also into a facility with support infrastructure. We also want to upgrade primary schools into secondary schools, so that when children finish grade 7, they quickly go into grade 8, 9 up to grade 12. So part of the Constituency Development Fund, we have channeled it towards adding 4 more classes. We want to finish classes at Wesley Nyerenda. We want to finish 3 classes at Mlenga Primary. We want to do the same in all the other schools that we have in the constituency, so that we shorten the distances. We don't want a challenge where when someone finishes their grade 7, they have to walk a long distance. That's one of the strategies we are using. We are also doing bridges. We want people to be able to connect, and that is why earlier this week I did raise an issue with the Minister of Infrastructure that our farmers need to have their bridges worked on, so that they can transport their farm produce, so that they can transport their farm inputs, and so that we can have economic activity happening in the farm block of the constituency. So it's education, health, general infrastructure like bridges. We also have roadworks that we want to work on, and we have allocated from the constituency development funds for this year about 600,000 kwacha, which will go towards fuel for the council to grade our roads. It's a wide scope of things that we want to do, but ultimately I want us to simplify the empowerment programs. The way the empowerment programs have been designed, I feel will not yield the right results. The issue of cooperatives, we've had challenges. People form cooperatives, they get the money, they have challenges starting a business, yet they asked for money to start a business. So I did ask our colleagues in central government if we can redesign empowerment programs. So that is on my agenda for this year. Before 2022 comes to an end, we should be able to say we think we can do empowerment programs in this fashion, and I think that that is some of the things that we are working on. So pretty much it's health, education, the basic things that everyone talks about, but localized to the needs of the people in Kamfinsa. The residents of Kamfinsa, of course, gave me an opportunity to come here and speak for them, and I think that whenever we ask questions in Parliament, mostly it is issues affecting our young people, issues affecting the constituency, issues affecting Mulenga compound. I would want to assure them that it may not be done, everything may not be done in 5 years, but we are going to lay the foundation, and we are going to demonstrate that some of the priorities have been attended to. We are going to ensure that educational infrastructure, the schools out there are worked on. We are going to ensure that we provide the necessary blueprint for working on roads. Those are our priorities, because if we do those things, I think that the economy of the constituency will be active. I also want to assure the residents that the challenges of water will continue to be presented to Parliament, because if I don't speak, I think that government may not give those issues the right amount of attention. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have been elected Member of Parliament. It's been a great journey so far, and I want it to be a leadership that represents the needs of our people.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Accounting irregularities, failure to correct revenue, district administration offices. Did you come with the DCs from these districts?
Chairperson, no, we didn't come with them.
Sorry?
We didn't come with them.
Okay. Nabodaka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Controlling officer, we have these 3 district administrative officers who were owed amounts totaling to 147,445 as of 31st December 2022 by 26 tenants that occupied 27 government properties. The debt was outstanding for periods ranging from 3 to 19 months as of July 31st. Controlling officer, the letter to the Attorney General is dated 23rd October 2023, and why was the Attorney General Chambers only engaged when the provincial administration was called to appear before the public account? Because the perception that we have as a committee is that you are just being reactive. I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Honorable Mwira.
Thank you, Chair. I'm particularly interested in the case for Kitwe DC, where it is responded that the acting district works supervisor for Kitwe district collected the rentals. What is the system of paying rentals? Does he go around collecting by cash? How are the tenants guided in terms of payment? How did this officer have access to the payments for rentals? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, the committee would like to find out that the period 3 to 19 months. This period, what is it that you have been doing just to allow someone being in a shop without maybe enforcing them to make payments or to collect what they are owing the government? And what are you doing going forward? Because it seems when it comes to government things, everyone says it's for government, but if it was my property, I don't think I can allow someone to be in my property for such a number of months. I don't know why we are failing here. I've been to Dubai. I've seen the way they are conducting things, the way they are collecting revenue from the properties that they have that side. But why is it a problem here in Zambia? I submit here. Thank you.
PS, you have those questions?
Let
3 of them.
Let me answer the last one, then the Director of Finance also answer part of it. I think this issue, Chair, of non-remittance of rentals from government properties, I think we discovered it sometime
early this year, when I directed the principal internal auditor to conduct audit on the uncollected rentals. Because several times we had requested the provincial maintenance officer to give us tenancy agreements on the properties that have been rented from the government. So when the principal internal auditor did his own investigation, the picture that came out was not very pleasing. So that's how we had to request the provincial maintenance officer to ensure that all the tenants that are occupying government properties are given tenancy agreements. And that's where we are now on issues of tenancy agreement. So going forward, we have directed the provincial maintenance officer that these rentals must not be paid in cash, but the tenants must post the money in the government accounts, and then they come with deposit slips. Mr. Chair. Then Director of Finance can answer the other part of the question. Thank you. Through the Chair.
Through the PS, the Director of Finance.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, PS. Yes, the issue of payment of rentals, no cash is being received from the clients that are renting government properties. Rather, they've been guided to be depositing the rentals directly into the transit government account. And we've also engaged the district accounting officers to work hand in hand with the district works supervisors, because works supervisors, they are the custodians of these properties, whilst the district accounting officer will monitor the deposits that are being made by the clients on rentals. As a way of going forward, I think it's the aspect of enhancing the monitoring to ensure that the defaulters are not late to continue occupying government properties for that long, and we shall continue making follow-ups on the same to ensure that those that are occupying government properties without paying rentals are subjected to legal proceedings. I submit it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your submission through the PS. We would like just to find out, why did you take so long? You have just told the committee that going forward you are going to enhance the measures, but why did it take you controlling officer and your people to take so long now that you are promising that things will change? Why did you take so long? I submit here.
Honorable Mwira.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clear my conscience and my question, I've heard the measures that the controlling officer has outlined in terms of having tenants agreements for all the tenants. Now, in the case of Kitwe, so before these measures, was it the case that an officer would go around to the tenants and collect cash for rentals? Was that the situation? Thank you, Chair.
PS, you can respond to the questions.
Like I said, Chair, earlier, when we observed that where the issue of non-remittance of rentals was getting out of hand, we engaged the principal internal audit and this team to audit all the properties that have been rented. And I think we wrote several letters to the provincial maintenance officer to give us the correct picture of what was on the ground. So it is arising from the discoveries that were discovered by the audit team that we realized that government money was not being remitted by the tenants. It was at that point.
Any follow-up questions on this matter? We can go to the next question. Unsupported payments. PS, during the audit, the payments were neither supported by job cards or invoices. Are the invoices now available for audit verifications?
Yes, Chair. I think we can get more clarification with the permission from the Director of Finance.
Director of Finance through the PS.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS. The payments are being supported, and these were equally supported. And it's the aspect of the job cards which constituted this matter to come this far, because it related to vendor, namely Sifao, where about 16 transactions were supposed to be supported with job cards. But the vendor did indicate that job cards are their internal documents, which they were not willing to share with us as government. But because they stated that the invoices that they issued, those were equally, they were just as good as job cards, so they were not ready to issue out the job cards as they considered that as their internal document.
Honorable Kando.
Thank you, Chair. My Chair, on the job cards, so did the invoices carry the same information that was on the job cards?
Director of Finance.
Yes, the information which was on the invoice, we assume is basically the same as the information which was on their job cards. That's what they stated. We have a letter to that effect which came from Sifao, emphasizing that the information which we were requesting for, like the job cards, was already appearing on the invoices which were given to us. I submit.
Honorable Dak.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Director of Finance, of course, through the PS. Are you in a position to lay those facts on the table so that we verify indeed that the information that was captured on the invoices were just basically the same as those on the job card? Are you able to substantiate that? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
Director of Finance.
Thank you. What I can provide as evidence is what is already attached, the letter which came from Sifao. Otherwise, the invoices were there, and they were also audited by our colleagues from Auditor General. So when we requested for job cards, they said, no, we cannot issue with the job cards. The information is already appearing on the invoice. Thank you.
And through the PS, Director of Finance, why did this become an audit query if the invoices were given to the auditors when they came? Because if you heard my question is, why were the invoices or the job cards not given to the auditors? If you have them, why didn't you give them for verification? So you are saying that the invoices were available during the audit, but from the report they were not available. Director of Finance.
Thank you, Chairperson. The auditors, the emphasis was that they wanted to see the job cards. The invoices were there and they were verified. But the job cards, which they wanted in addition to the already attached invoices to the payment, the job cards were not attached. They were not there. But to say why we did not give the auditors, I think the information was given to our colleagues, the auditors, and they verified that the invoices were there. But they, in addition to the invoices, they wanted to see the job cards from the supplier of the service.
Honorable Kando.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know why Sifao should refuse to give you a job card as if it's a confidential document. A job card is just an indication what they are supposed to be doing on a vehicle. And the auditors were actually very much in order. They want to compare what is being paid and what was worked on. In the absence of a job card, even when you give me an invoice, yes, I will look at the figures as stipulated that this is what you have been invoiced. But I also want to see what jobs were done on the same vehicle, or equipment. I think this could have been resolved if only the people that you work with, in this case CFAO, were able to give a sample of their job cards so that the auditors could prove what is on the table. And that you can only prove the works to be commensurate with what was invoiced based on a job card. Say, this is what we have done. Further, Chair, some of these controlling officer, some of these audit queries, I think you have indicated to this committee that you had actually pre-audit. And with a pre-audit, we least expect you to come before this committee with these queries, because you should have been prepared after the internal audit was done. The officers that are responsible for service of motor vehicles, or the transport officer, and many others who are being cited here, should have actually cleaned up their systems by ensuring that they cooperate. But in this case, you have some of these very simple things that could have been resolved at the province coming up to here, which is not a good thing. Because if you did a pre-audit, definitely, before the internal, the Auditor General, who are the external auditors, came in, they should have found these things to have been cleaned. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. The AG is here, because in their report they are saying that there was no invoices. Maybe AG, you can guide us? While the director is saying the invoices were there.
According to the officers on the ground, it was indicated that there were no invoices. If the invoices are there, maybe as we do the verifications, we'll find them. But at the time we're auditing, the time we did the interactions, responding and verifying, these invoices were not there. I submit, Chair.
So, Director Finance, can you guide us? Because the report is stated, it's very clear that the invoices were not there. In the report, you see, neither the invoices or job cards were there. So you are misleading this House and the Zambians at large that the invoices were there. This report is a public document. So can you help us?
Thank you,
Director
Chairperson.
Finance.
Thank you. To respond to the issue with the emphasis of saying invoices were not there, CFAO is a company, I think we've been dealing with CFAO for some time, and the aspect of invoices, maybe what I would say is we avail again to our auditors the invoices that came from CFAO to support this. But otherwise, this is what is on the ground.
Okay.
Thank you.
We proceed. We have a position as a committee on the matter. Honourable members, proceed to E, weaknesses in management of assets. Honourable Daka.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. It's an issue to do with lack of title deeds for properties. We have, for controlling officer, we have 107 properties under your charge, sitting on no title. And Madam Chairperson, you know, these queries have been coming year in, year out, and there seem not to be any improvement, or if there's any improvement, it's very minimal. Controlling officer, are you facing any challenge? What sort of challenges are you facing with regards to securing title for government properties under your charge? Because you know very well what that promotes. We have seen government land being encroached. And by the end of the day, government might not have any land at all, because citizens will encroach. So, controlling officer, what challenges are you facing as a province with regards to securing titles? The second one, there's the certificate of title for one of your properties is dated 9th March 2021. Why was the information presented? Why wasn't the information presented to the auditors during time of audit? I submit, Madam Chairperson.
PS, you can respond to those questions.
Thank you. Chair, I think the challenges that we have mainly was funding and the lack of equipment tools. But we, like we have stated in our response, this is an ongoing exercise, and so far we have started receiving funding for this exercise to the extent that some of the properties we already have the survey diagrams done, readiness for procurement of title deeds, and recently acquired a title deed for provincial administration, which was not a title for a long time. So the process is ongoing, and we've been engaging officers from Ministry of Lands to expedite the process of ensuring that the government properties are secured on title.
We go to failure to insure motor vehicles and motorbikes.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Honorable Daka.
Controlling officer, just like you submitted earlier over the equipment to do with the drilling, the accident that was in, it found itself in. We have, and the only sure way of securing or providing security to movable assets is to ensure that they are insured. Now we have seen, we have 9 motor vehicles and 12 motorbikes whose value could not be ascertained, not being insured by 31st July 2023. Controlling officer, to us that's a pure case of negligence with regards to taking care of government property. What did the motor vehicle registration number ABH become a non-runner? Because you are citing it that you couldn't insure it, basically because it was a non-runner. So we want to know when it became a non-runner. They say, therefore said motor vehicle. The second question is, doesn't it worry you as a controlling officer that 7 motor vehicles and 9 motorbikes hasn't been insured to date? Are you not worried? Because anything can happen. So the committee would want to get responses to that effect from you. I submit.
Before you respond, PS, Honorable Mwira.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, controlling officer, specifically on the issue of insurance, it's not a matter of choice. It's law. And this excuse of lack or limited budget allocation, while other expenses are being incurred, cleaning, I'm sure you have people who clean, I'm sure you have all those running costs, but insurance is not a matter of choice. It's law. How was it so difficult to prioritize? It's like paying salaries. You cannot skip. It's the same thing as paying for insurance. It's law. This excuse, this reason of limited budget funding, Chairperson, I find it unacceptable because the risk is not just to government property, it's also to third parties who are found on the road, who may be involved, in accidents with these vehicles. How is the budgeting, how is the planning for expenses done where, as a government, you actually promote breaking the law that is supposed to be followed? I thank you, Chair.
PS, you can respond to the 3 questions.
Thank you very much. Of course, the reason that you have cited here is that limited budget allocation. But even though it's not on record, if you can out on a chair, we have had meetings with the Director of Finance and people from procurement. I think the change that we have had is that the motor vehicles were falling due on different dates of renewals, and maybe there could be omissions on the part of the officer that are using the vehicles to forget to insure. But going forward now, we have resolved as provincial administration that all vehicles, they shall fall due for renewal on 1st January. So those who have got the policies running, we were decided to extend cover, in some cases pro rata cover, so that we have one renewal date, so that it's very easy for us to plan.
And also, we may consider insuring some vehicles or some properties on third party, depending on the availability of resources. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Kando.
A controlling officer, we have difficulties to understand the operations at the province when you talk about limited budget allocation. Vehicles are assets that are supposed to be taken care of by you as a province. Do you have record of, or is there anyone at the province who is in charge of motor vehicles and who is responsible to ensure that these vehicles are insured? Because the issue of forgetting should not arise when there's an officer who is being paid taxpayers' money, sitting and he forgets, because it's not your responsibility. It's the responsibility of those delegated people with delegated authority under you to ensure that they keep a record of what is falling due and what is not falling due. Do you have an officer who is responsible for this? And if that officer is, if there is an officer, is he among us, did he come with you? Because this is quite a irresponsible way of doing things. To forget means it's like you are operating alone. There are officers that are supposed to be, that are charged to be responsible of motor vehicles, who are supposed to inform you in writing, these vehicles are going to be due, controlling officer, and such a date, and help us. Further, Chair, if they're having challenges with the resource allocation, have they written to Treasury to indicate that they're having challenges to ensure government properties? I submit.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, when you look at the estimates of revenue and expenditure, they were funded almost 99+%, with an exception of about just 8,000 kwacha. So, controlling officer, did you allocate some resources for this particular, for insurance of vehicles, if you are saying you had limited budget allocation? Because government provided the funds for you as per your budget. Was this an omission, or insurance was not part of your budget? Chair, I submit.
PS, you can respond to the 3 questions. One, the Director of Finance.
Director of Finance, Chair, Wandoit.
Director of Finance.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, we do admit that insurance is low, and during this period of the audit, the budget line was centrally allocated under provincial administration, but to cater for all the fleet in the province. So the amount which was provided for under provincial administration to cater for all the fleet wasn't sufficient to pay for all the motor vehicles, on those that for insurance. So the allocation itself was limited, I think basically due to the ceiling, limited ceiling. We do admit that going forward, we'll allocate more money towards programs that relate to insurance and ensuring that all the motor vehicles are insured. And as for going forward further, is that we are trying to, we've actually decentralized. The budget lines will now, district administration will be able to pay for their own insurance. But as at that time when we were being audited, this matter was being handled at provincial level, and the allocation which was provided for wasn't sufficient. And writing to ST, concerning the limited budget, since for 2023, we are still having covers. I think, should I say, most of the vehicles have already been insured, but this was for the year 2022. Since we cannot, we can only correct the situation as we proceed. But should we feel like the budget allocation is not sufficient to pay, we'll write to ST. Thank you.
PS, switch off your mic.
Sorry.
Chair, your lamentations through you controlling officer, the lamentations that are coming from the Director of Finance are unacceptable here. The Director, you cannot talk like someone who doesn't plan. Your indications are that in case, no, we don't do things like that. You ought to plan, and when you have planned, you put all. If you are going to decentralize and you are going to in your budget as a province, you are going to allocate to the districts. You must know the number of vehicles that you are owing, and it must not come by chance. So what you are telling us, it looks like it wants to come by chance, because you have insured this. What you have insured this year is not for next year. There must be an allocation for next year. And that's the more reason the Chair, Honorable Mukumbi was saying, you were given money as a province, 99.9% of your allocation was given, according to the records that we have here. Given that, it means either you as Director of Finance, who is in charge to help the controlling officer in terms of budgeting, together with the Auditor General and other heads of department, you under budgeted. And that's the more reason you are saying limited resource allocation, which should not arise. Because if you budgeted properly, if you budgeted properly, the deficit would have been maybe significant. But in this case, you were almost given 99.99% of the budget that you requested. So why should you start lamenting here?
Maybe let me make a follow-up question, PS. As a province, do you have a procurement plan to follow? Unlike this issue of chancing, forgetting, because if you have a plan, you'll be following your plan. Do you have that as a province?
Well, thank you, Chair. I think if you heard me earlier, I said we observed, basically I've got a background of insurance. we noticed that we have a challenge with the insurance. That's why in the next year's budget, we planned and allocated resources, which we are given by the Secretary of Treasury, that all insurance-related matters and procurement of motor vehicle services shall be handled at provincial, at district level, so that that burden of having this issue of forgetting can be put aside. And besides that, we have engaged the Assistant Secretary to be in charge of the fleet of motor vehicles for the entire province. And of course, procurement to be done through the head procurement once we get there. But we've put that plan in place. I think we just have to apologize that we had this is a serious oversight on our part. It occurred, and we don't expect to have a recurrence of the same.
My question is not just based on insurance and vehicles. I'm saying as a province, because you have a lot of activities that fall under procurement, do you have a provincial procurement plan that you follow per year? Because next year you come up, there will be another audit query not to do with insurance, but within the area of procurement. Do you have a plan as a province to implement government projects?
The head procurement is here. Maybe she can answer that question. Thank you, Chair.
Head procurement, do you have a procurement plan?
Chair and honorable members, yes, we always submit a plan annually, a copy which goes to ZPPA. A plan is always there. Even for 2024, there will be a procurement plan.
For all your activities?
Yes, Chair.
But why do we have these challenges?
For insurance, maybe it's just the management that has to be maybe coordinated now, like the PS has alluded to. We just have to have a central point of controlling the insurance of motor vehicles, especially. I submit.
Honorable Kando.
Through the controlling officer, head of procurement, again, don't use the speculative language here. Be definite. You are saying maybe. It's unacceptable here. We don't speculate here. Indicate to this committee, what do you do in terms of insurance procurement? Do you plan for all the vehicles, or have you planned for the entire province, knowing the number of vehicles? And what is the role of the control of government transport when people seem to be unaware of what is going on? Procurement
officer, through the PS.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. What I said is for 2024, the plans are there. It will be done in 2024. Thank you.
So in the past we didn't have, because now we are reacting. We are thinking of 2024. So PS, let's put our systems in order so that we don't waste government resources. Progress, honorable members. We go to F, management of stores and accounted for stores. Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. On the management of stores and accounted for stores, amounting to 737,555,000. There are no records. And below there's a table 4 where the A number 1, provincial administration, Masaiti, DC, Kitwe, Mfulila. When you look at that, you find that 716,854 is for general stores amount. For fuel, 13,901. Total 730,715. My question to you, controlling officer, according to your submission, controlling officer, you are telling this committee that the departments are not supposed to keep records of stores items received from the provincial administration. Are you telling this committee that the departments are not supposed to keep records of stores items received from the provincial administration? That's number 1. My second, why is your department or administration hasn't trained the officers that handle stores in the departments? I submit, Chair.
PS, you can respond to the 2 questions. Honorable Lungu, switch off your mic.
Director of Finance will respond to that, Honorable Chair.
Director of Finances.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS. Unaccounted for stores, there are issues here which were raised, saying we did not have disposal details relating to the stores items. What I would like to report to the committee is that the disposal details, the payments in question were fully supported with the goods received notes and goods issued vouchers from the provincial stores office. And these items which were being bought, they were bought on behalf of the departments who made requests for these items. At the point of collection from the provincial stores office, the goods issued vouchers were issued out, were given to support the goods that were received by the user departments. You may wish to note that when the departments collect these stores items, they are meant for immediate use. And you are talking of departments, about 28, 29 departments under provincial administration, collecting these items from stores with the goods received notes and goods issued vouchers. It's at the department level in the various departments where the auditors...
Honorable Kando.
Thank you so much, Chair. Controlling officer, through you to the director. I know you are very competent in terms of finances, but in terms of stores, you might not understand the systems that are being applied by the procurement. Could the procurement, in this case controlling officer, tell us how they do their system? Because she must be better positioned to tell us how they manage their stores, after procuring, how they manage their stores. You do the buying, you do the financing, but how do they manage? Because there are gaps that we are seeing ourselves.
Through the PS to
Yes, thank you, Chair.
One thing I've observed is that it's the PS who've been referring to the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. What is at the province is we have a centralized stores. We have one stores that procures for all the departments. What happens when we procure for them? The user departments come and collect, and the goods issued voucher is given to them. But at the point when they are consuming, they don't keep a record. That's where the problem is. And the reason is that they don't have any stores or stores activities at the departments. Everything happens at headquarters. So the challenge was the auditors wanted to see if they buy 10 reams of paper, how are they using it at their departments? Who gets what 2 reams? Who gets the other 3 reams or the 5? That information is not there. They don't keep it. But when they collect from stores, that information is there. So the point was at where the items are being used at the end user departments. They don't have a stores section or a stores officer to handle that component. And this is actually everywhere, even in the districts. They don't have stores officers to handle that component. I submit.
Honorable Kando.
That's where the missing link is when the auditors were auditing. You cannot just get, receive, and then you dispatch. Without any record of how it has been utilized, it creates question marks to the auditors and the internal audits. You must be able to help in all these matters, because you are the one who did the pre-audit. And if you did your pre-audit adequately and prepared your staff in terms of ensuring that all the necessary documents are put in place, this audit would have not come up to here. So the missing link here is how did the records are not there. If you get 10 reams or 20 reams from one side and you keep it here, you must show how you are going to distribute it here. And the basics are supposed to apply for anyone who has gone to whichever field. When you give them fisheries department, whatever, we are giving you 10 reams. They must record. So why are you failing to put up a system as procurement to ensure that everyone accounts for what they have gotten from your department?
PS, you are the controlling officer of the province.
Thank you, Chair. I think that observation has been taken note of. Going forward, Chair, we are going to introduce the missing link in our distribution of materials collected from the central stores. I submit.
PS have been on that position since 2021.
2022?
2022, early 2022.
Yes.
Yeah. So the past 1 year plus, you haven't noticed that there's such a gap in your province for you to help government as a controlling officer in charge of that province?
Chair, this was just unearthed recently, so we shall improve on it.
Accountant General, those are your positions. Accountant General, Honorable Kando.
Wondering where the control of internal audit is. They have not come. But the internal auditor is seated next to the controlling officer. That's your area also, to ensure that people account. You see, when they get, they have used, you have the mandate to go through the records and to see the miss. You are an auditor. You are supposed to do the same things these external auditors are supposed to come and do. And if you are going to do your job properly, you know very well that you won't even have audits. But why are you failing us in this area for us to start sitting on things that could have been done? You create a record of disposal. Why?
PS.
Allow the Principal Internal Auditor to respond.
Internal Auditor can respond on behalf of the PS.
Chair, if the committee could indulge me to just delve into the process of external auditing, just partially. When external auditors come, as part of their request for information, are internal audit reports. And we have a very robust internal audit as provincial administration. And that's why you will note that these matters have been on a downward sloping curve. And even these same areas we are talking about here, these are matters, the majority of which were contained in our reports, and because that is part of the information that we submit to external audit, what they find outstanding will be picked and it will appear here, simply because our reports are not made public. So that is not to imply, Chair, that we do not do anything. But let me also state that for this particular issue of stores, which we are calling unaccounted for stores, I think like the Director of Finance categorically put it, there are records available at stores showing who got what, and even the store's requisition of the people who requested. And this is an area that has been audited over a number of years, both by us, internal auditors, and even external auditors. I think this dimension of us now going to a small unit with 2 people to say, oh, the 2 reams of paper that you got, some departments have just 2 people, you issued it to who? That is probably one area which even us, as internal audit, we overlooked. Even the external auditors have not been looking at that, because all the documentation received, issued, those are there, but this is just another issue. That's why even in the response here, you are seeing management indicating that all these records of items received, items issued to which department, signed by who, are there. But now, that issue of now an individual accounting for those 2 reams, I've issued 1 ream to a secretary, that's where probably even us we had oversight, Chair. And going forward, we insist that whatever amount that you get should be accounted for even at that very level, at that, whether it's micro or otherwise. Otherwise, Chair, a lot of these, including rental income, we have been auditing this since 2018 and before. And you recall that this is a matter that was even here before. And our internal report, you know, part of what was presented. So we are on top of things, except auditing sometimes is done on a sampling basis. We don't do 100%. So maybe what I missed, this bottle, I didn't see it, someone else will see it. So internal does not mean everything else. There could be 2 or 3 things that we will not see. But our work plan is robust in terms of the matters at hand. Thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. I will go straight to G, but I think my emphasis on internal audit, as you sit at the province, is to help the controlling officer realize certain things that could have been cleaned up way before the external auditors arrive. And you are very much correct when you say you unearthed these things, and upon your unearthing of these things, it is within the administration that you are supposed to sort out these matters. My question is on G, on failure to withhold VAT. Controlling officer, I realize one thing here. Why did you have to take too long to start writing to districts and giving them this power that was being resisted, that they were not part and parcel of those who are supposed to withhold VAT? Why did it have to take long? I submit, Chair.
PS, can respond to that question or redirect it to the relevant officer?
They may redirect it to the Director of Finance. I think she's the what's it today.
Direct Finance? Before you respond, Honorable Daka.
Thank you.
Direct Finance, switch off the light.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Controlling officer, is it an issue of competence in your accounting department or what? Because as far as the committee is concerned, remittance of VAT is a statutory obligation provided for under our laws. We tend to find it difficult to find a situation where your accounts department or people who are charged with the responsibility to perform such duties fail to do so. Controlling officer, can you take us to speed as a committee whether you have enough or competent manpower to handle some of these things? I submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I think in terms of competence of manpower, we have competent manpower running the finance department. Through you, Chair, allow me
But why do we have these questions if the department is competent?
Chair,
Because I even want, like what the auditor, internal auditor submitted of robust, he was saying of robust. If you are robust, there's no need of us having these audit queries. It's the results that will show that this person is working, not what I tell people. Director Finance, through the PS, you can respond to those questions. Let her, there are main questions, let her respond first.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS. The issue of VAT withheld, districts, basically extension of the provincial administration, and at the point when they are making payments, in 2022, they were making payments and they withheld, they could not withhold because the clients were not able to respond to the same. They could not withhold tax, but a letter was written. It's not that we are being reactive, but a letter was written dated 23rd of August 2022, written to our clients, our vendors, and as well as to district administration, informing them that they were agents and the basis of withholding tax on behalf of government was basically using the same taxpayer's identification number, which was under provincial administration. So it's a matter which was communicated to all the DC's offices, and from that effect, we were able to collect the tax. Thank you.
There was a question from Honorable Mukumbi. Point of order from Honorable Daka.
Madam Chairperson, laws are laws. Did it require you to communicate to the district when actually, even when we in fact, from time and again, we amend the VAT, the law that guides us with regards to collection of VAT. It's not cast in concrete. Even as we speak now, that act is coming again for amendments. Your accountants should take keen interest in following up whatever changes come with the change with regards to VAT. Because to us, it's a pure case of negligence on the side of the accounting department in the Copper Belt province, controlling officer. That's why we asked you this question. Because looking at what failure to withhold VAT, it's such a basic requirement that anyone who follows the development with regards to changes in law will be able to capture or get it and seek clarification from ZRI. So we still insist that I think there must be a problem with regards to your department, the accounting department. We need befitting responses. Madam Chairperson, what she has given is not adequate. We can't take that, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, there's an intervention from Office of the Accountant General.
Thank you, Chair. I think in this matter, Chair, what we should look at is there are two things here. There is payment of VAT by the suppliers, and withholding VAT by the accounting officers. What is happening here is using government, these government accountants, as agents to collect VAT on behalf of ZRA. So this arrangement does not really fall under within the law to pay VAT. This is an arrangement between government and ZRA. And what is happening here, probably, when these guys, when these suppliers were not properly informed that this VAT is supposed to be withheld by government, that is why they showed some resistance. And I think what I've read here is that after they were told, they were ready to comply. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. I think it has been explained. Honorable Kando, we can move to the next.
Thank you, Chair. I think the last but not the least.
Outstanding liabilities.
The last but not the least is failure to settle outstanding liabilities. Controlling officer, how much debt has been settled to date? Are you able to provide necessary proof to this committee? What measures have you put in place to ensure that the debt does not keep increasing? I submit, Chair.
PS can respond to the Director of Finance.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
To respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS. With regard to failure to settle outstanding liabilities, as a province, we have made progress with the dismantling of arrears with regard to personnel emoluments as well as other creditors. The amount which is stated here was accrued over a period of time, and as at 2023, the province was funded 5.2 million towards dismantling of arrears on personnel emoluments, which we concluded paying out, and a report was submitted to ST, Minister of Finance and National Planning. As regard to other vendors, ZESCO, Zamtel, equally we were funded 963,013 kwacha to dismantle arrears outstanding, and we paid out. A report was also submitted to Office of the Secretary to the Treasury. Going forward, we made a provision to dismantle the arrears, the ones that are being accrued over time. We made a provision in the budget of 2.8 million, going by the ceiling that we were provided for. And this, we hope it can be funded before the year ends. I submit.
Honorable Kando.
Chair, I think my question to the controlling officer who has given it to the Director of Finance. The question is straightforward. Our committee is a committee of facts. We don't speculate. We don't want any witness coming without facts presented. You are saying you have submitted a report. My question to you was, how much have you settled in terms of these outstanding arrears? And do you have proof to show to the committee that this is what you have done? If you have that proof, present it to us. If you don't have, these are the matters again that you'll be called upon to say, come. These matters should be settled. So do you have proof to indicate that the outstanding debt has been cleared, or how much you have cleared? And that report, you share it with the committee.
Director of Finance through the PS.
I can answer.
PS, you can
Thank
respond?
You.
Okay.
Thank you. The Appendix M, if we check on our Appendix M, it will show you that we received a letter notifying the province that we were allocated 5.2 million to dismantle arrears on personnel emoluments. To say we have come with a report to support what we are saying here, indicating who was paid, who's the beneficiary, on that one, we haven't come with a report. But what we've... What?
Honorable Kando.
Chair, we have seen the submission, we have all these appendices that you have put. My question is very straightforward, controlling officer to your director, finance. How much have you cleared and how much is outstanding? We have seen the letters where you have been instructed 5 million. How much has been cleared? How much is outstanding? What have you done so that we can have a record of what you are doing towards clearing the outstanding?
Director, do you have the list of those figures?
The list is there, but apparently it's not attached. It's not one of the appendices that was
But you have
filed.
it there?
No, I didn't come with it. In terms of how much was paid, we paid according to the funding, which was 5.2 million. And in terms of what is outstanding, we have about approximately, I think what I know as a third quarter 2023.
So, Director of Finance, you are speculating when you just say you think the best thing you can do, can provide those documents through the office of the clerk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll provide the report as at 30th September when we reported to ST on outstanding arrears. Thank you.
I think we are done. PS Copper Belt Province. I remember, I think even last time when you came, I'm the one who chaired. Yeah, I think most of the issues, almost 80% are the same issues. Meaning when you went back, you didn't put your systems in order. Most of the issues that has come out, there are issues that you just need you to put the systems in order, put the right people in place. If we don't have qualified people, request through the PSMD to have the qualified people to work in these offices to help government implement its projects. Because whatever is happening, who is suffering? It's the Zambians. They are the owners of these resources. So also your internal auditor saying robust system, when we have these audit queries, one out of the 10 provinces this year, we have one province which is not coming back, meaning they went back and put their systems in order. This is the reason why they are not here. But if you are here, there is no way you can tell us that we have a robust system when you are still responding to questions from PAC. So the other thing is that you need to write to PSMD so that those officers who are on payroll at provincial level and they are working at the district to be aligned to the right places so that we don't have these audit queries. Because if you don't do this, even next year you come with the same questions. Then as a province also, put a proper procurement plan so that as you are implementing your projects, you have a plan that you are ticking that this has been done, this has not been done, so that at the end of the year, you know what you have not done, what you have done. And then you come up with a right report for the province. So coming from that background, thank you so much, PS. Wish you well back to Copper Belt. And our wish is that we don't see you next year. It will mean that you are doing the right things for the Zambians. I lift your immunity. We are free to go back. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
There were 59,439 registered cashew nut farmers in Western Province.
The situation as it is, I'm incapacitated.
The good people of Petauke, especially in Nyika 1, where we don't have water.
This is now a serious risk on the people of Iteztezi. Last week we registered one maternal death.
Within the CDF, we can build palaces for all chiefs in our country.
Minister, when are we going to have money? When are we going to construct hospitals?
Catch us live on DSTV channel 272, OTV